How you going, guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. Today's job, we have a cylinder rod off a CAT 657 scraper. This is a bowl lift cylinder rod, and as you can see, the eye is slightly worn out and it needs to be replaced. On the scraper, there are two bowl lift cylinders, and they are used to lower the bowl into the ground when the machine is taking a cut, and then lift the bowl when it is full. So what's interesting about this, the way the eye is broken is not very common. Generally, they go through the grease hole because that is a weak point. But this is cracked more down the middle. Most likely that has happened because the bearing has gotten loose in the bore, and because of the forces pulling on that pin, it has fractured the eye and pulled it apart. Inspection on the rest of the rod, everything looks to be in really good condition. The chrome isn't damaged and there aren't any marks in it. And something else we can tell with this rod, it is not the original. It has been re-rodded at some stage. And we know that because there is a weld present between the eye and the rod, where from the factory, these are friction welded. Whoever did the re-rod before did it a little bit differently than I would do, which means it's going to change the way we attach our new eye. So we are going to leave a little bit of extra material there. So we've got something to work with when we attach our new eye. The weld will probably end up a little bit wider than I would like, but it's not going to change the way the rod works. The first thing we need to do is cut off the rest of this eye so we can get it set up in the lathe. And to cut this, I'm going to use the Oxy. Before I start machining the spigot, I'm just going to drill in a center to support the end of the rod. To machine the spigot, I'm going to be using a 12mm button insert. That's going to put up with the punishment of that interrupted cut. The finished diameter of the spigot is going to be about 20mm, and we need it to be about 15mm long. And while we're doing that, we're also going to machine in the weld prep. That insert didn't handle that interrupted cut very well, so I'm going to put in a harder grade and keep going. Now we've got the spigot machined, we're going to part off the excess material. So that's the rod prepped. Now we're going to get the eye set up in the mill so we can drill the hole for the spigot. And the new eye is a flame cut piece of 90mm Biz 80 plate. The bore is flame cut to within 10mm of its finished size, and that is to allow for any flare during the cutting process and also to allow for any distortion created from welding the eye onto a rod. First thing we're going to do is drill the hole for the spigot. What we need to do is find center, so I'm going to use an edge finder on each face to center up the y-axis. And because the drill chuck is going to interfere with the side of the eye, I can't use my edge finder there. So I'm going to use a center drill and a ruler and just get it as close as possible. And any variation in alignment will be corrected when we finish machine the bore. Now we can go in with our 22mm cruz drill and drill the hole for the spigot. Now we're going to flip it so we can drill the hole for the center. Now we found center on this side, I'm just going to spot the face just enough so our live center can support it. I don't want to drill a full depth center hole in there because it will create a weak spot and it will be a dotted line for it to fracture later on. Now we're going to rotate the eye 90 degrees so we can drill in the hole for the grease port, and we put it there because it is the thickest part of the eye and the strongest, which makes it the least likely area that it'll break. So what I'm going to use is an 8.5mm drill, then I'm going to countersink the top edge, then I'm going to tap it 1/8 BSP. So that's all the work on the eye completed for now. Now we're going to get it set up on the end of the rod. So we've got our eye fitted and it's in alignment, and we have double checked the measurement of the overall length and we are spot on, but I'm not entirely happy with how much weld prep is there. I am going to have a little bit of trouble getting the nozzle to the base of the weld, so I'm going to use our extended button tool holder and machine that out a little bit more.
Is that good?
Now we've got that machined, we can get the eye tacked onto the rod. It'll fit in there. Now we're going to get it out of the lathe over to the welding area and get it welded up. And to weld it, I'm going to be using CIG Verticore. I'm going to back that up with Argo Shield Heavy, which is 80% argon, 20% CO2. I'm going to run that at about 26 volts and about 6 meters of wire a minute. Righto guys, so that's all the welding completed and I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. That weld looks a lot better than I thought it was going to. And we've let that cool down enough now, we can take it over to the mill and bore the eye to size.
Hey, what do you got? Hang on. Good boy.
To bore this out, we're going to be using our adjustable boring head. In the boring head is an ECGT insert. We're going to take a few roughing cuts and then we'll take a measurement. So I've taken our measurement, we've still got about 7 mil of material to remove, but we're not going to bore it all the way through. We're going to bore down and create a stop shoulder for the bearing to sit on. To set the depth for our stop shoulder, I'm going to be using the depth stop on the quill and the digital readout. So I've got that machine to within 0.2 of its finished size, so I'm going to advance ahead 0.1 of a mil and take our finish cut.
not bad.
So that is spot on, you don't really get it any closer than that. Now what we need to do is change out the tool so we can cut our snap ring groove. To cut the snap ring groove, I'm going to be using a boring and facing head and a 4mm grooving tool. I'm just going to move the table 57.3mm, which is the width of the bearing. I'm just going to do a relief cut on this part here, and that's to make it a little bit easier when they install the bearing. Now I'm going to change out to an S&MG neutral and cut the chamfers. So that's our new eye completely machined. Now we're going to get it out of the mill and give it a coat of paint. Righto guys, that's the eye replacement completed on our bowl lift rod at a fraction of the cost of a new one. We've saved our customer a lot of money. Now we're going to get it strapped down and back to our customer. That's it for this job. Thanks for watching. I'm going to try and give it to you in one take.
No, just multiple takes is where we go, okay?
No, we're trying to do it in one. How you going guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. Today's job we have a cylinder rod off a...
I had high hopes.
Bit low there. How you going guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. Today's job we have a cylinder rod off a... Fuck. How you going guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. Today's job we have a cylinder rod off a 657 scraper. It's going good. This is a bowl lift cylinder rod, and as you can see, this... Just pull up. Right. Wait. Hang on, sorry, just had a fucking moment. It wasn't good.
Did you kill the squeaky?